Hi everyone, welcome back to Fluent English Journey. I'm Blake and I'm really happy to have you here today. Today, we are going to talk about something very important, especially for advanced English learners. Many learners reach a level where their grammar is strong and their vocabulary is wide. You understand movies, books, and lessons. But still, when it is time to speak in real life, something feels difficult. You may know the words, but using them smoothly, naturally, and confidently can be challenging. This is very normal. You are not alone. Speaking English naturally is a skill, and today, I will guide you step by step. I will share simple tips, clear examples, and easy techniques to help your English sound more natural in daily conversations. Let's begin calmly and confidently. First, let's talk about greetings. Greetings may look simple, but they are very powerful. The way you greet someone can change the whole conversation. Instead of saying only hello, you can make your greeting warmer and more friendly. For example, you can say, "Hey, how's it going?" or "Hi, how have you been?" These greetings sound relaxed and natural. They are perfect for friends, classmates, or people you already know. If you want to sound polite but still friendly, you can say things like, "Good morning. How's your day so far?" or "Hi, it's great to see you. How have you been?" These small changes make your English sound more caring and genuine. People feel comfortable when they hear this kind of language. It is also important to understand the difference between formal and informal greetings. In a business meeting or professional setting, it is better to say, "Good morning. I hope you're doing well." This sounds respectful and professional. But when you meet friends or people your age, you can relax and say, "Hey, what's up?" or "Hi, how's everything going?" When you practice these different styles, you will know exactly what to say in each situation. At work, at school, or with friends, your English will sound natural and appropriate. Now, let's move on to asking questions in everyday English. Asking questions is very important because it keeps the conversation alive. Sometimes learners ask questions that are correct, but a little short or direct. For example, "What do you want to eat?" This is correct, but you can make it sound more natural by saying, "Do you feel like having pizza or something lighter today?" This sounds friendly and relaxed. Another example is asking for directions. Instead of saying, "Where is the train station?" you can say, "Excuse me, could you tell me how to get to the train station?" Adding polite words like "excuse me" and "could you tell me" makes your English smoother and kinder. These small phrases create a big difference in how people hear your English. Next, let's talk about expressing opinions. Many learners know what they think, but they don't always know how to say it naturally. Instead of saying something short like, "I think this," you can expand your idea. For example, you can say, "I really like this idea because it makes a lot of sense," or, "In my opinion, this plan could work well if we try it step by step." When you add a little explanation, your speech flows better and people understand you more clearly. Let's look at another example. Instead of saying, "The movie was good," you can say, "I really enjoyed the movie. I thought the story was very engaging." Now you are not just giving information. You are sharing your experience, and that sounds much more natural. Sometimes, you may want to disagree politely. This is also very important. Instead of saying, "I didn't like it," you can say, "I can see why you liked it, but I felt it was a bit slow in the middle." This sounds respectful and friendly, not harsh. Another common situation is giving advice or suggestions. Saying, "You should study more," can sound too strong. A softer and more natural way is, "If I were you, I would try studying a little every day," or maybe you could focus on vocabulary first and then grammar. Words like "maybe," "if I were you," and "I would suggest" make your advice sound polite and thoughtful. Now, let's talk about small talk, which is very common in daily life. Some learners think small talk is not important, but it is actually a key part of natural English. Instead of asking, Did you have a good weekend? You can say, did you do anything fun over the weekend? Then share something about yourself. I went for a walk and really enjoyed it. Sharing small experiences helps the conversation continue. You can also talk about the environment. For example, it's such a nice day today, isn't it? Perfect weather for a walk. These small comments make you sound friendly, relaxed, and easy to talk to. Finally, let's talk about expressing feelings and emotions. Advanced English is not only about difficult grammar. It is about sounding human. Instead of saying, I am happy, you can say, I'm really excited about this project. It's been motivating me all week. Instead of saying, I'm tired, you can say, I'm feeling a bit tired after such a long day, but I'm happy I finished my work. These sentences show emotion and personality. People connect better when your English sounds real and warm. To summarize, even advanced English learners can improve by focusing on small things. Use friendly greetings. Ask polite questions. Share opinions clearly. Practice small talk. Express feelings naturally. Remember, speaking English is not just about grammar and vocabulary. It is about using them smoothly and comfortably in real life. Finally, let's talk about giving directions in a natural way. Many English learners know basic phrases like go straight or turn left. These phrases are correct, but in real life, people usually speak in a more friendly and conversational way. For example, instead of saying only, go straight and turn left, you can say, walk straight for about 2 blocks, then turn left at the corner. You'll see the building on your right. When you add small details like distance, corners, or landmarks, your directions become clearer and easier to understand. It also makes you sound like someone who uses English naturally in daily life, not someone reading from a textbook. Let's look at another example. Instead of saying, the cafe is there, you can say, walk straight for 2 blocks and the cafe will be on your left, right next to the bookstore. Small details like next to, across from, or near the bank help the listener feel confident. Your English sounds more natural, friendly, and helpful. Now, let's talk about making polite requests, which is very important in everyday English. Many learners accidentally sound rude without meaning to. For example, saying, give me the book, is grammatically correct, but it sounds too direct. A much better way is to say, could you please pass me the book, or would you mind giving me the book for a moment? Using polite phrases like please, could you, or would you mind makes a big difference. Polite language shows respect and confidence, and people respond better to it. Next, let's practice shopping and ordering food naturally. Instead of saying, I want coffee, you can say, hi, could I get a medium cappuccino, please? This sounds polite and friendly. If you are shopping, you can say, do you have this in a smaller size, or could you recommend a good option for me? These small changes show that you are thinking about the other person and speaking in a natural, conversational way. Now, let's move to work and professional situations. Even advanced English learners sometimes feel unsure at work. For example, instead of saying only, I will do it, you can say, I'll take care of this task today and make sure it's done before the meeting. This sounds more professional and confident. You are showing responsibility, not just giving a short answer. Asking for help politely at work is also very important. Instead of saying, help me with this report, you can say, could you please help me with this report? I want to make sure everything is clear and accurate. This sounds respectful and thoughtful, and your coworkers will feel more comfortable helping you. Now, let's talk about agreeing and disagreeing politely. Simply saying I agree is fine, but you can make it sound better. You can say, I completely agree with your idea, especially the part about improving the workflow. This shows that you are listening carefully and thinking about the discussion. If you disagree, you don't need to sound rude. Instead of saying, I do not agree, you can say, I see your point, but I think we might need to consider another option. This kind of language is polite, professional, and encourages healthy discussion instead of conflict. Overall, improving your English in areas like giving directions, making polite requests, shopping, ordering food, and speaking professionally can make a huge difference. Paying attention to small words, adding helpful details, and using polite language shows that you are advanced in English, not only in knowledge, but in real-life communication. By practicing these skills every day, your English will sound smoother, more respectful, and much closer to how native speakers talk in daily life. Next, let's talk about everyday English for school and learning situations. Whether you are in a classroom, a study group, or an online lesson, speaking politely and naturally is very important. Instead of saying only, "I do not understand," you can say, "I'm not completely clear on this topic. Could you please explain it one more time?" This sounds respectful and shows that you are paying attention and truly want to learn. In the same way, instead of saying, "Can you help me?" you can say, "Could you help me understand this problem? I'm having a little difficulty with this part." Sentences like these make your English sound calm, polite, and advanced. Teachers and classmates will also feel more comfortable helping you. Now, let's talk about hobbies and free time. Simple sentences like, "I like reading" or "I play football" are correct, but they can sound a bit basic. To sound more natural and interesting, add details and feelings. For example, instead of saying, "I like reading," you can say, "I really enjoy reading novels, especially mystery stories, because they keep me curious until the last page." Or instead of saying, "I play football," you can say, "I play football every weekend with my friends. We usually meet at the park, and it feels relaxing and fun after a busy week." When you add details, your sentences sound more alive. People feel like they are hearing a real story, not just short answers. Next, let's focus on talking about plans and future activities. Instead of saying, "I will go to the market," you can say, "I plan to go to the market tomorrow morning to buy fresh fruits and vegetables. I want to prepare everything for the week." Or instead of saying, "I am going to the cinema," you can say, "I'm going to the cinema tonight with my friends to watch a new movie. We're really excited because we've heard great reviews." Adding time, purpose, and feelings makes your English sound natural and realistic. Now, let's talk about expressing opinions clearly and naturally. Giving an opinion is not just saying what you think. It's also sharing why you think that way. Instead of saying, "The movie was good," you can say, "I really enjoyed the movie. The story was engaging and the characters felt very real." If you want to disagree politely, you can say, "I can see why you liked it, but I felt the middle part was a bit slow." This kind of language sounds thoughtful and respectful. Now, let's talk about sharing opinions about people, places, or experiences. Many learners say short sentences like, "I like this city," or "I don't like this restaurant." To sound more natural, add reasons. For example, "I really like this city because it has beautiful parks, friendly people, and many interesting places to explore." Or, "I don't really enjoy this restaurant because the food was a bit bland and the service was slower than I expected." These details make your English clearer and more expressive. Next, let's focus on talking about problems or difficulties. Instead of saying, "I have a problem," you can say, "I'm facing a small problem with my computer. It doesn't start properly and I need some advice." Instead of saying, "This is hard," you can say, "This task is a bit challenging, but I'm doing my best to complete it carefully." These sentences sound calm, polite, and solution-focused. Now, let's move on to making invitations and suggesting activities. Instead of saying, "Come to my house," you can say, "I'd like to invite you to my house this Saturday for a small get-together. We can relax, talk, and enjoy the evening together." Instead of saying, "Do you want to eat?" you can say, "Would you like to go to a new restaurant I found? They serve amazing Italian food." This sounds friendly and welcoming. Finally, let's talk about expressing preferences and choices. Instead of saying, I like tea, you can say, I really enjoy drinking green tea in the morning because it helps me feel fresh and focused. Instead of saying, I don't like coffee, you can say, I usually avoid coffee because it makes me feel nervous, but I enjoy herbal tea. Adding reasons makes your English sound personal and natural. To summarize, whether you are studying, talking about hobbies, making plans, sharing opinions, discussing problems, or inviting others, small changes make a big difference. Be polite, add details, and show your feelings. By practicing these habits every day, your English will sound more confident, natural, and fluent. In short, whether you are sharing opinions, describing experiences, talking about problems, making invitations, or expressing preferences, small changes make a big difference. Short sentences are correct, but longer sentences with extra details and polite words make your English sound more natural, confident, and advanced. When you explain your thoughts clearly and calmly, people understand you better and feel comfortable talking with you. Now, let's talk about something very important for advanced English speakers: keeping conversations smooth and natural. Even if your grammar and vocabulary are strong, long pauses or very short answers can sometimes make your English sound less fluent. One helpful technique is using natural filler phrases. These phrases give you time to think while still sounding confident. For example, instead of staying silent, you can say, let me think for a moment. I believe the best option would be to start with the research first. Instead of saying, I don't know, you can say, that's a good question. I think it depends on the situation, but usually this method works well. These small phrases help your English sound smoother and more polished. They keep the conversation flowing naturally. Another powerful technique is asking follow-up questions. Follow-up questions show interest and help conversations continue easily. Instead of asking only, did you like the movie? You can say, did you like the movie? Which part did you enjoy the most and why? Instead of asking, did you go on vacation? You can say, did you go on vacation? Where did you go, and what was the most memorable part of the trip? These questions encourage the other person to share more, making the conversation richer and more engaging. Next, let's focus on expressing subtle opinions and feelings. Advanced English is not just about saying yes or no. It is about showing balance and depth. Instead of saying, I like the book, you can say, I quite enjoyed the book. I liked the storyline, although I felt the ending could have been stronger. Instead of saying, I don't like the music, you can say, I'm not a huge fan of this music style, but I can appreciate the effort the artist put into it. Words and phrases like quite, although, and I can appreciate make your English sound thoughtful and mature. This is a strong sign of advanced English ability. Now, let's talk about clarifying ideas politely. In deeper conversations, misunderstandings can happen. What matters is how you respond. Instead of saying, you're wrong, you can say, I see your point, but could I share another perspective? Instead of saying, I don't get it, you can say, I'm not completely sure I understand. Could you explain it a little more? These phrases keep conversations respectful and professional while helping you understand clearly. In advanced discussions, it is also important to disagree politely. Instead of saying, that is not correct, you can say, I'm not sure that's entirely correct. Could we look at it from another angle? Instead of saying, you're wrong, you can say, I understand your point, but I see it a bit differently. Let me explain my perspective. This type of language is very important in workplaces and serious conversations. Another useful skill is paraphrasing, which means repeating ideas in your own words. Paraphrasing shows that you are listening carefully and want to avoid misunderstandings. For example, if someone says, the meeting will start at 3 p.m. and everyone needs to prepare a report, you can say, so, just to confirm, The meeting is at 3 p.m., and we all need to have our reports ready before then. Or if someone says, I think the project needs more research, you can reply, if I understand correctly, you're suggesting we gather more information before making a final decision. This skill makes your English sound reliable, thoughtful, and professional. Another important technique is using softening phrases. Softening phrases help you give opinions or feedback without sounding rude. Instead of saying, this idea is bad, you can say, I see what you mean, but maybe we could consider another approach that might work better. Instead of saying, you made a mistake, you can say, I think there might be a small error here. Could we review it together? These phrases help you communicate clearly while keeping conversations friendly and respectful. Finally, it's important to know how to express certainty and uncertainty naturally. Advanced English is not only about sounding confident. It is also about sounding thoughtful and honest. You can say, I'm fairly confident this approach will work, or I'm not completely sure yet, but I think this could be a good direction. To summarize, keeping conversations smooth, using natural phrases, asking follow-up questions, expressing nuanced opinions, paraphrasing, and speaking politely are essential skills for advanced English learners. By practicing these techniques regularly, your English will sound fluent, confident, and natural in both casual and professional conversations. Instead of simply saying, I am sure, you can say, I'm fairly certain this approach will work, based on our previous experience. And instead of saying, I don't know, you can say, I'm not entirely sure yet, but we can try this method and see how it works. Using these gentle expressions of certainty or doubt makes your English sound careful, realistic, and trustworthy. People often trust your ideas more when you communicate in a balanced and thoughtful way. In summary, advanced English is not about using difficult grammar or rare vocabulary. It is about speaking naturally, politely, and thoughtfully. When you use polite phrases, paraphrase ideas, soften criticism, and express certainty or uncertainty carefully, your English sounds professional, confident, and human. Practicing these techniques regularly helps you communicate smoothly, avoid misunderstandings, and connect with others in both casual and professional situations. These are the skills that make advanced English learners sound truly fluent and comfortable in everyday life. Now, let's talk more about showing confidence even when you are not completely sure. Instead of saying, I don't know, you can say, I can check and get back to you with the correct information. You can also use phrases like, I think, I believe, I'm fairly certain, I'm not entirely sure, but. These expressions make your English sound careful, professional, and polite, not abrupt or unsure. They show that you are thinking before you speak, which is a strong sign of advanced communication. Next, let's focus on expressing cause and effect naturally. Many learners say short sentences like, I was late. There was traffic. I'm tired. I worked a lot. These sentences are correct, but they sound a bit mechanical. A more natural way is to say, I was late because the traffic was heavier than usual this morning, which caused a delay in my schedule. Or, I'm feeling tired today because I worked long hours yesterday and didn't get enough rest. Using words like because, which caused, as a result, and so makes your English flow better. Your explanations become clearer, more logical, and more natural. Now, let's talk about responding to compliments or praise. Many learners only say, thanks, but advanced speakers respond more warmly. Instead of saying just thanks, you can say, thank you. I really appreciate your kind words. I worked hard on this. Or instead of saying only you're welcome, you can say, thank you for noticing. Your feedback really motivates me to keep improving. These responses sound friendly, professional, and confident. They help build positive relationships. Another important skill is agreeing and disagreeing politely. Simply saying, I don't agree, or you're right, can sound too short. Instead of saying, I don't agree, you can say, I understand your perspective, but I see it a bit differently. Maybe we can find a solution that works for both sides. And instead of saying, you're right, you can say, I agree with your point, especially the part about teamwork. It really highlights the importance of collaboration. Using full sentences shows maturity and respect. Now, let's focus on expressing preferences naturally. Instead of saying, I like tea, you can say, I prefer drinking green tea in the morning because it helps me feel refreshed and focused. Instead of saying, I don't like coffee, you can say, I usually avoid coffee because it makes me feel a bit anxious, but I really enjoy herbal teas. Giving reasons makes your English sound complete, natural, and thoughtful. Another important skill is giving advice and recommendations politely. Instead of saying, you should do this, you can say, I would suggest trying this method because it worked well for me in similar situations. Or, if I were in your position, I would consider focusing on the most important tasks first. It really helps with time management. This type of advice sounds supportive, not bossy. It shows experience and confidence. Finally, let's talk about expressing surprise or strong reactions naturally. Instead of saying, oh, you can say, oh, I didn't expect that at all. Instead of saying, that's bad, you can say, that's quite surprising. I wasn't expecting that outcome. These expressions add emotion and personality to your English. To summarize, by showing nuance, explaining reasons, responding politely, giving advice gently, and expressing emotions naturally, your English becomes fluent, confident, and human. This is what real communication looks like. Instead of saying, I am surprised, you can say, I was genuinely surprised to hear the news because I didn't expect it at all. It really caught me off guard. And instead of saying, that is amazing, you can say, that is absolutely amazing. I can't believe how well everything turned out. Using full sentences with reasons and feelings makes your reactions sound real and natural. People respond better when they can feel your emotion, not just hear a short phrase. Now, let's talk about an advanced, but very useful skill, handling interruptions and returning to the topic politely. In real conversations, people sometimes interrupt or change the topic. This can feel uncomfortable if you don't know what to say. Instead of saying, go back to the topic, you can say, I understand your point, and it's interesting. Let's return to our earlier discussion about the project so we can finish planning it. Instead of saying, stop interrupting, you can say, I appreciate your input. Could we continue with the main topic for now and discuss your idea afterwards? These sentences sound polite, calm, and professional. They show that you can manage conversations smoothly without sounding rude or annoyed. Next, let's talk about one of the most powerful skills in everyday English, storytelling. Being able to tell stories naturally makes conversations more interesting and memorable. Instead of saying, I went hiking last weekend, you can say, I went hiking last weekend in the nearby hills. The weather was perfect, the trails were quiet, and I even saw a family of deer. It was really refreshing and gave me a lot of energy for the week. By adding what happened, how you felt, and small details, your story comes alive. People enjoy listening when your stories feel complete and natural. Storytelling is also useful in work and professional situations. Instead of saying, the project was successful, you can say, the project was successful because our team worked closely together, managed time well, and handled several unexpected challenges. Seeing the final result was very satisfying and taught us a lot about teamwork. This shows reflection, professionalism, and confidence. Let's look at another simple example. Instead of saying, I went to the park, I saw a dog, you can say, yesterday, I went to the park for a walk and saw a playful dog chasing a frisbee. It was so energetic and funny that I couldn't stop smiling. Notice how describing the scene and your reaction makes the story more vivid. Using time expressions also helps your stories flow smoothly. Instead of saying, I ate lunch, Then I met my friend, you can say. I had lunch at noon, and after that, I met my friend at a cafe. We spent a few hours talking about our weekend plans. Words like after that, later in the evening, and finally guide the listener through your story clearly. Now, let's talk about humor in everyday English. Humor helps you connect with people, but it should be light and appropriate. Instead of saying, "That's funny," you can say, "That made me laugh so much. I can't believe that happened." You can also share light humor. For example, "I tried cooking yesterday, and I think I invented a new dish that even my cat would refuse to eat. It was terrible, but very funny." Complete sentences with context make humor feel natural and relatable. Another advanced skill is expressing opinions persuasively. Instead of saying, "I think this is good," you can say, "I strongly believe this approach will work because it matches our goals and is supported by past results." Instead of saying, "I don't like it," you can say, "I'm not entirely convinced this method is effective. Based on my experience, there may be a better solution we could try." Giving reasons strengthens your opinion and makes your English sound professional and confident. Now, let's talk about possibility and hypothetical situations. Instead of saying, "It might happen," you can say, "There is a possibility that this situation could occur, so it would be wise to prepare a backup plan." Instead of saying, "I can't do it," you can say, "If I had more time, I would be able to complete this task more efficiently. I might also ask for some help to meet the deadline." This type of language shows flexibility, problem-solving, and maturity. Let's combine these skills in a real example. Instead of saying, "The report is okay. I did my part," you can say, "I feel the report is progressing well. I completed my section yesterday, and I believe it fits the overall structure. If we have a bit more time, we could refine the data to make it even stronger." This sentence uses emotion, context, polite confidence, and hypothetical thinking, all signs of advanced English. Finally, when expressing emotions, always add context. Instead of saying, "I am happy," you can say, "I'm really happy today because I finished all my tasks early and even had time to relax and read a book." To summarize, advanced English is not just grammar or vocabulary. It is about expressing ideas with context, emotion, balance, and clarity. By using storytelling, polite control of conversations, humor, persuasive opinions, and hypothetical language, your English becomes natural, confident, and memorable. Instead of saying, "I am sad," you can say, "I felt really sad yesterday because I couldn't attend my friend's celebration. I was really looking forward to seeing everyone." When you add reason and time, your emotion feels real and believable. People can understand you better when they know why you feel something. Now let's talk about another very important skill, handling disagreements politely. In real life, you will not always agree with others. What matters is how you express your disagreement. Instead of saying, "You are wrong," you can say, "I understand your perspective, but I see it a little differently. Maybe we can look at it together and find the best solution." Instead of saying, "No, that's not right," you can say, "I'm not sure I fully agree, but I think there might be another approach that could work better." Using soft and polite language makes your English sound respectful, calm, and professional. This is a key part of advanced English conversations. Now let's talk about asking for help politely. Instead of saying, "Help me with this," you can say, "Would you mind helping me with this task? I want to make sure I understand it correctly." Polite requests with reasons sound natural and friendly. Another useful skill is making comparisons clearly. Instead of saying, "This is better," you can say, "I think this restaurant is better than the one we visited last week because the food is fresher and the service is faster." Instead of saying, "It is not good," you can say, "This approach doesn't work as well as the previous one because it takes more time without giving better results." Comparisons with explanations make your speech clear and professional. Now let's talk about future plans and intentions. Instead of saying, I will go to the park, you can say, I plan to go to the park tomorrow morning to enjoy some fresh air and go for a short run before work. Instead of saying, I am going to travel, you can say, I'm planning to travel to the mountains next month to relax and enjoy nature. I've already booked my tickets and hotel. Details make your plans sound organized and realistic. When making requests, full sentences work best. Instead of saying, give me the book, you can say, could you please pass me the book? I'd like to read it this afternoon. Instead of saying, he should help me, you can say, would it be possible for him to help me with this project? His experience could really help. Polite wording shows respect and confidence. Now let's talk about small talk, which is very important in daily English. Instead of saying, it is hot, you can say, it's quite hot today, isn't it? I'm thinking about going for a walk in the evening when it's cooler. Instead of saying, I went shopping, you can say, I went shopping this afternoon and found some really nice clothes at a good price. I'm very happy with what I bought. Small details make conversations enjoyable. Greetings are also very important. Instead of just saying, hello, you can say, hi, it's great to see you. How have you been? Instead of saying, nice to meet you, you can say, it's a pleasure to meet you. I've heard a lot about your work and I'm excited to talk with you. Warm greetings make a strong first impression. In networking or professional settings, full sentences help a lot. Instead of saying, I work at a company, you can say, I work at a marketing company where I create digital campaigns. I really enjoy helping clients connect with their audience. Instead of saying, I like your work, you can say, I really admire your recent project. The results were impressive and very creative. Thoughtful comments make conversations meaningful. Asking follow-up questions also keeps conversations alive. You can say, how has your week been, or what have you been working on lately? When someone shares something, respond with interest. That sounds really interesting. How did you come up with that idea? Finally, let's talk about expressing gratitude. Instead of just saying, thank you, you can say, thank you so much for your help today. I really appreciate the time and effort you gave. Instead of saying, thanks for this, you can say, I'm very grateful for the advice you shared with me. It was very helpful. To sum up, advanced English is not about big words. It is about speaking with context, politeness, clarity, and feeling. By practicing polite requests, warm greetings, small talk, comparisons, future plans, and gratitude, your English will sound natural, confident, and professional. Using full sentences with clear details can really help people understand you better and trust your ideas. When you explain your thoughts fully, your English sounds polite, sincere, and thoughtful. This small habit can help you make better decisions and communicate more confidently. Building rapport and connecting with people is also very important in English communication. Instead of simply saying, I like you, you can say, I really enjoy talking with you because you always share interesting ideas. Our conversations are always engaging and enjoyable. Instead of saying you are nice, you can say, I really appreciate how kind and thoughtful you are. It makes working and communicating with you very pleasant. Adding reasons and small details makes your words sound warm, natural, and genuine. Now let's talk about small talk, especially in professional settings. Instead of asking, how was your day? You can say, how has your day been so far? Or have you had a busy morning? Or has it been relatively calm? Instead of saying, the weather is nice, you can say, the weather is lovely today. I hope you had a chance to enjoy some sunshine earlier. These slightly longer sentences make small talk sound friendly, polite, and professional. Asking questions naturally also helps conversations flow. Instead of asking, do you like your job? You can say, how do you feel about your current role? Are there parts you enjoy the most or challenges you're working on? Instead of saying, where do you live? You can say, where do you live? I've heard your area is beautiful and I'd love to know more about it. These questions show real interest and invite the other person to share more. Gratitude, compliments, and interest all make your English sound advanced. When you thank someone, explain why. Thank you so much for your help. It really helped me understand the situation better and make a good decision. When you compliment someone, add details. I really admire how you handled that situation. You stayed calm and explained everything clearly. Now let's look at sharing personal experiences naturally. Instead of saying, I went on vacation, you can say, last month, I went on vacation to the mountains. The scenery was beautiful and I really enjoyed hiking and exploring the area. Instead of saying, I went to a party, you can say, I attended a friend's birthday party last weekend. Everyone had a great time, and it was nice to meet new people and reconnect with old friends. Details turn simple sentences into interesting stories. Giving compliments naturally is another important skill. Instead of saying, you're smart, you can say, I really admire your problem-solving skills. You always find creative solutions, and it's impressive to watch. Instead of saying, I like your outfit, you can say, your outfit looks great today. The colors suit you perfectly and give a very professional impression. Now let's talk about answering questions about yourself. Instead of saying, I am fine, you can say, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I had a productive morning and finished an important task. Instead of saying, I work in marketing, you can say, I work in marketing at a digital agency, where I focus on social media campaigns. I really enjoy finding creative ways to engage audiences. Full answers make conversations smooth and professional. Handling disagreements politely is also very important. Instead of saying, you are wrong, you can say, I understand your point of view, and it makes sense. I have a slightly different perspective, and maybe we can discuss both ideas. Instead of saying, that's not correct, you can say, I'm not sure I completely agree, but I'd like to share another approach that might work well. Polite language shows maturity and respect. Expressing emotions with empathy makes your English sound human and advanced. Instead of saying, I am sad, you can say, I feel really disappointed about what happened, and I understand that it must have been difficult for you as well. Instead of saying, I am happy, you can say, I'm extremely happy about the news you shared. It must have been exciting to achieve that goal, and I'm really glad for you. Finally, let's talk about giving advice gently. Instead of saying, you should try this, you can say, if I were in your position, I would consider trying this approach. It worked well for me, and it might help you too. To sum up, advanced English is not about difficult words. It is about giving context, adding reasons, showing respect, expressing emotions clearly, and speaking thoughtfully. By practicing these skills every day, your English will sound natural, confident, warm, and professional. Instead of giving direct commands like, do this, advanced English speakers give advice in a calm and thoughtful way. For example, you can say, one suggestion I have is to focus on the most important tasks first. This way, you can manage your time more efficiently and reduce stress. When you give advice with reasons and context, your English sounds polite, mature, and natural. People feel more comfortable listening to you because your words do not sound bossy or aggressive. Sharing opinions about events or activities also becomes more interesting when you add details. Instead of saying, I like the concert, you can say, I really enjoyed the concert last night. The band performed exceptionally well, and the atmosphere in the venue was amazing. I especially liked how the audience stayed engaged throughout the show. Instead of saying, the food is good, you can say, the food at the restaurant was excellent. The flavors were well balanced, and the presentation made the dishes even more appealing. These details help the listener imagine the experience and connect with your opinion. You can also use details to describe everyday experiences. Instead of saying, I went for a walk, you can say, yesterday afternoon, I went for a walk in the park. The weather was perfect, and the flowers were blooming beautifully. It felt very relaxing to spend time outside and enjoy nature. Instead of saying, I watched a movie, you can say, I watched a movie in the evening. The story was exciting, the acting was impressive, and I especially enjoyed the ending because it was surprising and satisfying. Adding context and emotion makes your experiences sound vivid and engaging. By combining these skills, expressing emotions, giving thoughtful advice, sharing opinions, and describing experiences, you make your English sound natural and confident. Instead of short, simple sentences, try to explain why something happened, how you felt, or what made it special. For example, instead of saying, I liked the game, you can say, I really enjoyed the game last night. The players were very skilled, and the match was full of exciting moments. I especially liked how the team worked together to score the winning goal. These small additions make your sentences richer and easier for others to connect with. Another important conversational skill is making smooth transitions. Instead of saying, let's talk about something else, you can say, that was an interesting discussion about the project. Speaking of which, I wanted to ask your opinion about the new marketing strategy. Instead of saying, anyway, moving on, you can say, that reminds me of another topic we discussed earlier. I think it's related and worth exploring further. Smooth transitions help conversations flow naturally and stay organized. Showing interest and engagement is also very important. Instead of saying, okay, you can say, that's really interesting. Can you tell me more about how it happened and what your experience was like? Instead of saying, yes, you can say, yes, I completely understand. It must have been challenging, and I'd love to hear more about how you handled it. These responses show that you are listening carefully and genuinely interested. For advanced English learners, professional communication is especially important. The way you speak at work affects how people see your confidence and clarity. Instead of saying, I have an idea, you can say, I would like to propose an idea that could help improve our workflow and increase efficiency across the team. When you explain why your idea is useful, your message becomes stronger and more persuasive. In meetings, structure is very important. Instead of saying, let's start the meeting, you can say, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining today. I'd like to start by reviewing the agenda and then discuss the key points one by one. During discussions, adding explanations and inviting others to speak improves communication. Instead of saying, I think this is right, you can say, based on the data and our previous results, I believe this approach could be effective. I'd really like to hear your thoughts as well. Instead of saying, do this, you can say, one suggestion I have is to focus on the most urgent tasks first. This will help us meet the deadline without feeling rushed. Professional conversations also require polite agreement and disagreement. Instead of saying, you are wrong, you can say, I see your point, and it makes sense. I have a slightly different perspective that I'd like to share, and maybe we can combine both ideas. Instead of saying, no, that won't work, you can say, I understand your approach, but I think there might be another way that could work better. Let's discuss both options. Finally, staying engaged and curious makes conversations more effective. Instead of saying, that's fine, you can say, that's very interesting. Could you explain a bit more about how it works and what steps you followed? Instead of saying, I understand, you can say, yes, I understand completely. It must have been challenging, and I'd love to know more about the solution you came up with. In professional settings, speaking clearly and respectfully is essential. Instead of saying, I don't know, you can say, I'm not entirely sure about that detail. Perhaps we can check the report together before making a decision. Using full sentences, polite phrasing, smooth transitions, and clear explanations makes your English sound advanced, professional, and confident. In Fluent English Journey, we focus on expressing ideas clearly, confidently, and politely, especially in professional situations. Instead of saying, I think this is good, you can say, based on our analysis, I believe this strategy will be effective because it addresses the main challenges we are facing and aligns with our long-term goals. This kind of sentence sounds confident, thoughtful, and professional because you explain why your idea is good. Instead of saying, maybe we can try this, you can say, I recommend implementing this approach. It has been successful in similar projects and could deliver measurable results for our team. Using confident language with clear reasons and examples makes your presentations more persuasive and helps others trust your ideas. Another important professional skill is negotiating politely and effectively. Advanced English speakers are firm but respectful. Instead of saying, no, I will not accept that, you can say, I understand your proposal, but I believe there is room for adjustment to make it suitable for both sides. Could we discuss alternative options that meet our goals? Instead of saying, yes, okay, you can say, I am willing to consider your suggestion. Let us review the details and see how we can reach an agreement that works for both parties. These sentences show professionalism, openness, and confidence during negotiations. Email writing is also a very important part of professional communication. Emails should be clear, polite, and well-structured. Instead of writing, send me the report, you can write, could you please send me the latest version of the report by the end of the day? I would like to review it before tomorrow's meeting. Instead of writing only, thanks, you can write, thank you very much for your support on this project. Your contribution has been very helpful, and I truly appreciate the time and effort you have put in. Writing full sentences with polite language makes your emails sound professional and respectful. When giving instructions or making requests, always add context and explanation. Instead of saying, do this quickly, you can say, could you please complete this task by this afternoon? It will help us stay on schedule and ensure the team has the information needed for the next step. Instead of saying, check it, you can say, please review this report carefully and let me know if there are any points we should discuss before finalizing it. Explaining why something is important makes your communication smoother and more effective. In meetings, it is helpful to give structure and involve others. Instead of saying, let's discuss this, you can say, I would like to discuss our next steps for the project. Let us review each task and assign responsibilities to ensure everything is clear and manageable. Instead of saying, any thoughts, you can say, I would appreciate hearing your insights on this approach. Your experience may help us find a better solution. This encourages collaboration and shows respect for others' opinions. Professional phone conversations also need clarity and politeness. Instead of saying, hello, this is Blake, you can say, hello, this is Blake speaking. I'm calling regarding the project update we discussed last week. Is this a convenient time to talk? Instead of saying, I'll call later, you can say, I will follow up with a call later this afternoon to discuss the details further. Please let me know if that time works for you. Using proper greetings and full sentences makes phone communication clear and professional. Asking questions politely at work is another key skill. Instead of saying, I don't understand, you can say, I'm not entirely clear on this step. Could you please explain it again or provide an example so I can complete it correctly? Instead of saying, what do I do? You can say, could you clarify the next steps for me? I want to make sure I follow the correct process and avoid any mistakes. This shows responsibility and attention to detail. Giving feedback professionally is also essential. Instead of saying, this is wrong, you can say, I noticed there might be an issue with this section of the report. Perhaps we could review it together and make the necessary adjustments to improve accuracy. Instead of saying, you did a good job, you can say, you did a great job on the presentation. The visuals were clear, and your explanation of the main points was very effective. I especially appreciated how you answered the questions thoughtfully. Detailed feedback sounds encouraging and professional. In all professional situations, emails, phone calls, meetings, negotiations, or feedback, the key is the same. Use full sentences, be polite, and give reasons. Instead of saying, "Do this task," you can say, "Could you please take care of this task by the end of the day? It's important for our upcoming deadline, and your expertise will ensure it's done correctly." This balanced style of communication shows confidence, respect, and professionalism. Instead of saying, "I think this is good," you can use a stronger and more professional sentence. For example, you can say, "Based on our analysis, I believe this strategy will be effective because it addresses the main challenges we are facing and aligns with our long-term goals." This sentence sounds confident. It gives a reason. It shows that you have thought carefully before speaking. Now, instead of saying, "Maybe we can try this," you can say, "I recommend implementing this approach. It has been successful in similar projects and could deliver measurable results for our team." Using confident language with reasons and examples makes your ideas persuasive and professional. Next, let us talk about negotiating politely and effectively. Advanced English learners should aim to be firm but respectful. Instead of saying, "No, I will not accept that," you can say, "I understand your proposal, but I believe there is room for adjustment to make it suitable for both sides. Could we discuss alternative options that meet our goals?" This sentence shows respect. It keeps the conversation calm and professional. Instead of saying, "Yes, okay," you can say, "I am willing to consider your suggestion. Let us review the details and see how we can reach an agreement that works for both parties." Using polite and complete sentences during negotiations shows professionalism and maturity. Now let us focus on professional email writing. Emails should be clear, polite, and well-structured. Instead of writing, "Send me the report," you can write, "Could you please send me the latest version of the report by the end of the day? I would like to review it before tomorrow's meeting." Instead of writing only, "Thanks," you can write, "Thank you very much for your support on this project. Your contribution has been very helpful, and I truly appreciate the time and effort you have put in." Polite emails with full sentences make your communication respectful and effective. When giving instructions or making requests, always explain why the task is important. Instead of saying, "Finish this," you can say, "I would appreciate it if you could complete this assignment by tomorrow morning." This will help us stay on track with the project schedule. Instead of saying, "Do this quickly," you can say, "Could you complete this task by this afternoon?" It will help us stay on schedule and prepare for the next step. Explaining the reason helps others understand your request and cooperate more easily. Handling disagreements professionally is another important skill. Instead of saying, "You are wrong," you can say, "I understand your point, but I have a slightly different perspective. Perhaps we can review the information together and find the best solution for the team." Instead of saying, "I do not agree," you can say, "I see your point. However, I have some concerns about this approach. Could we explore alternative options that might work better?" Polite language keeps discussions focused on solutions, not conflict. When presenting in meetings, clarity and structure are very important. Instead of saying, "I will talk about the project," you can say, "Today, I would like to present the progress we have made on the project, highlight key achievements, and discuss the challenges we need to address moving forward." Instead of saying, "Here is the data," you can say, "Let me walk you through the data we collected over the past month and explain the key trends we observed." Clear explanations show that you are organized and professional. In meetings, always invite others politely. Instead of saying, "What do you think?" you can say, "I would love to hear your thoughts on this approach. Your experience may provide valuable insights." Instead of saying, "Any questions?" you can say, "Please feel free to ask any questions or share your suggestions so we can ensure the best outcome together." Polite invitations create a collaborative environment. When delegating tasks, clarity and respect matter. Instead of saying, "Do this now," you can say, "Could you please handle this task today?" It is important for our schedule, and I trust your skills to complete it efficiently. Instead of saying, finish it soon, you can say, I would appreciate it if you could complete this task by tomorrow. Meeting this timeline will help us maintain smooth progress. Summarizing discussions professionally is also important. Instead of saying, we decided this, you can say, to summarize our discussion, we have agreed to implement the new strategy starting next week. Please monitor the results and share feedback during our next meeting. Instead of saying, that's it, you can say, in conclusion, we have outlined the tasks, assigned responsibilities, and set deadlines to ensure the project progresses smoothly. Does anyone have additional points to discuss before we finish? Finally, professional communication is about clarity, confidence, politeness, and context. Whether you are making requests, handling disagreements, writing emails, presenting ideas, negotiating deadlines, or giving feedback, using full sentences with explanations helps others understand you better. It shows that you are thoughtful, respectful, and prepared. By practicing these skills daily, your English will sound natural, confident, and professional. This will help you build stronger relationships and succeed in any workplace. Instead of saying, I want water, you can say, could I please have a glass of water? You can also add, could you please tell me about today's specials? This sounds polite and friendly. It makes the interaction more pleasant for both you and the staff. Instead of saying, I like the food, you can say, the food tastes excellent. The flavors are well balanced, and the presentation makes the dishes even more enjoyable. Using full sentences helps you express yourself clearly and politely. When making special requests while ordering food, always give details calmly. Instead of saying, change this, you can say, could I please have this dish without onions? I am allergic, and I want to make sure it is prepared safely. Instead of saying, bring the bill, you can say, could we please have the bill when you have a moment? Thank you very much for your service today. Speaking with politeness and context helps staff understand your needs clearly and shows respect. Now let us talk about travel and public transportation. Instead of saying, where is the bus? You can say, excuse me, could you please tell me which bus goes to the city center? I want to make sure I get on the right one. Instead of saying, I don't understand, you can say, I am not entirely sure which ticket I need. Could you please explain it to me? Using complete sentences shows confidence and helps you handle travel situations without stress. In shopping situations, polite and detailed language is very helpful. Instead of saying, how much, you can say, excuse me, could you please tell me the price of this jacket? I am comparing a few options before making a decision. Instead of saying, I want this, you can say, I would like to purchase this item. Could you please wrap it as a gift? When asking for help, instead of saying, where is it, you can say, could you please tell me where the dairy section is? I am looking for fresh milk and cheese. Instead of asking, do you have this? You can say, do you happen to have this item in a different size or color? I would like to see the available options. Using polite, full sentences makes shopping smooth and comfortable. Handling emergencies requires clarity and calm communication. Instead of shouting, help, you can say, please help. I need immediate assistance. There has been an accident and someone is injured. Instead of saying, call the police, you can say, could someone please call the police? There is a situation that requires urgent attention. Clear and complete sentences help people understand quickly and take action. When visiting a doctor or pharmacy, details are very important. Instead of saying, I am sick, you can say, I am feeling unwell. I have a high fever and a sore throat. Could you please advise me on what medication I should take? Instead of saying, I need medicine, you can say, could you please provide me with medicine for a cold? I am looking for something that can reduce fever and relieve my symptoms. Giving full context helps medical professionals give the correct care. Asking for directions is another common situation. Instead of saying, Where is the station? You can say, excuse me, could you please tell me how to get to the train station from here? I need to catch the next train to the city center. Instead of saying, I am lost, you can say, I seem to be lost. Could you please guide me to the nearest bus stop or taxi stand? Polite and detailed sentences help others assist you more easily. When handling payments and transactions, professionalism matters. Instead of saying, I pay by card, you can say, I would like to pay by credit card. Could you please let me know if there are any additional fees? Instead of saying, give me receipt, you can say, could you please provide me with a receipt for this transaction? I need it for my records. This sounds polite, clear, and professional. To conclude, in every situation, restaurants, shopping, travel, emergencies, healthcare, or daily life, using polite, detailed, and full sentences makes your English sound natural, advanced, and confident. It helps people understand you clearly. It shows respect. And it makes your experiences smoother and more enjoyable. Instead of saying, give me that, you can say, could you please pass me the salt? I would really appreciate it. Instead of saying, wait, you can say, could you please wait for a moment while I finish this task? I will be ready shortly. Using full, polite sentences in daily situations makes your English sound calm and kind. Another important skill is understanding cultural situations. When you are aware of local customs, greetings, and polite expressions, communication becomes easier and more respectful, especially in different countries. For example, when entering a shop or meeting someone new, you can say, hello, how are you today? Or good morning. I hope you are well. These simple greetings create a positive first impression. Instead of saying, I do not understand, you can say, I am not familiar with this custom. Could you please explain it to me so I can follow it correctly? Instead of saying, that is strange, you can say, this is a different approach than I am used to, but I find it interesting and would like to understand it better. Polite sentences show cultural awareness and respect. Making invitations and responding politely is another key social skill. Instead of saying, come to my party, you can say, I would like to invite you to my birthday party this Saturday. It would be wonderful if you could join us for the celebration. Instead of saying, yes, I go, you can say, thank you very much for the invitation. I would be delighted to attend and celebrate with you. Full sentences with context make invitations warm and natural. Now let us talk about expressing preferences and choices. Instead of saying, I like tea, you can say, I prefer drinking green tea in the morning because it helps me feel energized and ready for the day. Instead of saying, I do not like coffee, you can say, I usually avoid coffee because it makes me feel jittery, but I enjoy herbal tea in the afternoon to relax. Adding reasons makes your English sound thoughtful and real. Giving directions or explaining processes is clearer when you use complete sentences. Instead of saying, go there, you can say, to reach the museum, walk straight along Main Street for 2 blocks, then turn left. The entrance will be on your right, next to the bookstore. Instead of saying, do this, you can say, to complete the application, first fill out your personal information. Then upload the required documents. Finally, review everything carefully before submitting it online. Clear steps help people understand easily. Expressing feelings and emotions is another important part of natural English. Instead of saying, I am happy, you can say, I am extremely happy that everything went well today. The meeting was productive and I feel satisfied with the results. Instead of saying, I am surprised, you can say, I was genuinely surprised to hear the news. I did not expect it, and it caught me off guard in a good way. Context helps others understand your feelings better. Sharing opinions clearly and politely is an important skill, especially for advanced learners. Instead of saying, I think it is good, you can say, I believe this approach is effective because it addresses the main challenges and offers a practical solution. If you disagree, instead of saying, I do not like it, you can say, I am not fully convinced this method will work as intended. In my experience, there may be a better alternative. Explaining your reasons makes your opinion stronger. When disagreeing politely, respect is very important. Instead of saying, you're wrong, you can say, I understand your perspective, but I have a different viewpoint based on my experience. Instead of saying, no, that is not right, you can say, I see what you mean. Perhaps we could consider another approach or combine both ideas. Polite disagreement keeps conversations calm and productive. Finally, using simple idioms can make your English sound more natural. For example, saying break the ice means helping people feel comfortable at the beginning of a conversation. Using idioms naturally, step by step, helps your English sound more fluent over time. Using idioms correctly can make your English sound more natural and interesting. Idioms help you sound comfortable and relaxed, especially at the start of conversations or meetings. For example, instead of saying, I am very tired, you can say, I am completely worn out after a long day at work. Instead of saying, it is very easy, you can say, this task is a piece of cake. I can finish it quickly without any problems. Idioms make your speech lively, but it is important to understand their meaning and use them in the right situations. Another important skill is using phrasal verbs naturally. Phrasal verbs are very common in daily English and help you sound fluent. Instead of saying, I cancel the meeting, you can say, I had to call off the meeting because an urgent issue came up. Instead of saying, I continue working, you can say, I will carry on with my work while you handle the customer request. Using phrasal verbs correctly helps your English sound smooth and confident. Expressing agreement and support politely is also very important. Instead of saying, yes, I agree, you can say, I completely agree with your point. It aligns well with my own experience. Instead of saying, that is right, you can say, you are absolutely correct. I noticed similar patterns that support your idea. Giving reasons for your agreement shows that you are engaged and thoughtful. When you need to disagree, politeness matters. Instead of saying, I do not agree, you can say, I understand your viewpoint, but I have a slightly different perspective. Perhaps we can explore both options and find the best solution. Instead of saying, that is not true, you can say, I see your point, but based on my understanding, there may be another way to look at this. Respectful disagreement keeps conversations calm and professional. Asking for opinions and feedback politely improves communication. Instead of saying, what do you think, you can say, I would love to hear your opinion on this proposal. Do you think it could work effectively? Instead of saying, give me your feedback, you can say, could you please share your thoughts on this work? I want to improve it and meet the team's goals. Using full sentences shows respect and encourages thoughtful responses. Expressing uncertainty professionally is another advanced skill. Instead of saying, I am not sure, you can say, I am not entirely certain about this, but we could explore a few options. Instead of saying, maybe it works, you can say, there is a possibility this approach could be effective, but we should analyze it carefully. This makes your communication sound careful and responsible. Connecting ideas smoothly helps your English flow naturally. Instead of saying, I like movies, I watch them every weekend, you can say, I really enjoy watching movies, especially on weekends, because it helps me relax. Instead of saying, I like coffee, I drink it every morning, you can say, I usually start my day with a cup of coffee because it helps me feel energized and focused. Using connecting words makes your speech clear and fluent. Telling stories with details also improves your English. Instead of saying, I went to the park, you can say, yesterday, I went to the park for a walk. The weather was sunny and many people were enjoying different activities. It felt refreshing to spend time outdoors and relax. Details help listeners connect with your story. To summarize, advanced English communication focuses on clarity, politeness, and context. This includes using full sentences, giving reasons, expressing emotions clearly, sharing opinions respectfully, and handling disagreements calmly. Idioms and phrasal verbs, when used correctly, make your English more natural and engaging. Asking for feedback politely, agreeing and disagreeing respectfully, and connecting ideas smoothly help you sound confident and professional. Storytelling becomes much more interesting when you add context, details, and emotions. Instead of saying, "I met my friend," you can say, "Last weekend, I met my friend for lunch at a cozy cafe. We spent a few hours talking about our work and sharing interesting experiences from the week." Using full sentences helps listeners understand what happened, how you felt, and why the moment was meaningful. When giving instructions or explanations, full sentences are very important. Instead of saying, "Do this," you can say, "To complete the task, first gather all the necessary materials. Then follow each step carefully, and finally review your work to make sure everything is correct." Similarly, instead of saying, "Go there," you can say, "To reach the museum, walk straight along Main Street for 2 blocks. Then turn left. The entrance will be on your right, next to the bookstore." Step-by-step instructions in full sentences make your English clear and professional. Expressing feelings and reactions clearly also improves communication. Instead of saying, "I am happy," you can say, "I am very happy that everything went well today. The meeting was productive and I feel satisfied with the results we achieved." Instead of saying, "I am surprised," you can say, "I was genuinely surprised to hear the news. I did not expect it, and it caught me off guard in a positive way." Details help others understand your emotions better. Sharing opinions persuasively is another important skill. Instead of saying, "I think it is good," you can say, "I believe this approach is effective because it addresses the main challenges and offers a practical solution." Instead of saying, "I do not like it," you can say, "I am not convinced this method will work as intended. In my experience, there may be a better alternative we could consider." Giving reasons makes your opinions stronger and clearer. When you disagree, politeness matters. Instead of saying, "You are wrong," you can say, "I understand your perspective, but I have a different viewpoint based on my experience." Instead of saying, "No, that is not right," you can say, "I see what you mean, but perhaps there is another way to look at the situation. We could combine both ideas to get the best result." Respectful disagreement keeps conversations productive. Talking about future plans and hopes becomes clearer with full sentences. Instead of saying, "I want to travel," you can say, "I am planning to travel to Italy next summer. I want to explore historic cities, enjoy local food, and experience the culture." Instead of saying, "I want to learn English," you can say, "I hope to improve my English over the next few months by practicing speaking every day." Expressing preferences with reasons makes your English sound natural. Instead of saying, "I like reading," you can say, "I really enjoy reading novels because they help me relax and see the world from different perspectives." Instead of saying, "I prefer tea," you can say, "I usually prefer herbal tea in the evening because it helps me relax and sleep better." Connecting ideas smoothly improves fluency. Instead of saying, "I like movies," "I like books," you can say, "I enjoy both movies and books. Movies are visually exciting, while books allow me to imagine the story deeply." Transitions help your speech flow naturally. Using idioms makes your English lively and natural. Instead of saying, "I am very busy," you can say, "I have been swamped with work this week, but I am managing well." Instead of saying, "It is very easy," you can say, "This task is a walk in the park for me because I have done it many times." Idioms add color and confidence to your speech. Using phrasal verbs correctly also improves fluency. Instead of saying, "I cancel the meeting," you can say, "I had to call off the meeting because an urgent issue came up." Instead of saying, "I continue working," you can say, "I will carry on with my work while you handle the request." Agreeing and disagreeing politely keeps conversations friendly. Instead of saying, yes, I agree, you can say, I completely agree with your point. It matches my own experience. When disagreeing, you can say, I understand your point, but I have a slightly different perspective. Let's explore both ideas together. Finally, asking for opinions and feedback politely is very useful. Instead of saying, do you like it? You can say, could you share your thoughts on this idea? Instead of saying, what do you think? You can say, I would love to hear your opinion before making a final decision. Using idioms with context makes your English sound more fluent and engaging. When you explain a little more instead of using short words, people understand you better and feel more connected to your message. Responding naturally in everyday conversations is very important. Instead of simply saying, okay, you can say, that sounds good to me. I will follow your suggestion and let you know if I have any questions. Instead of just saying, yes, you can say, yes, I completely agree with your point. It matches what I have observed and supports the idea we discussed earlier. Using full sentences makes your responses clear, polite, and interesting. One of the most important skills in modern English is communicating clearly online. This includes writing emails, chatting on social media, sending messages, and posting on professional platforms. In casual online chats, instead of saying, hello, you can say, hi, how are you doing today? I hope everything is going well on your side. Instead of saying, I am busy, you can say, I am currently working on a few tasks, but I can take a moment to chat. How has your day been so far? These small details make your messages friendly and warm. When posting on social media or commenting on someone's post, full sentences help you sound thoughtful. Instead of saying, good job, you can say, congratulations on your achievement. I am really impressed by the effort and dedication you put into this project. Instead of saying, nice photo, you can say, this is a beautiful photo. The colors are amazing, and it captures the moment perfectly. Meaningful comments create positive connections. Texting friends and family naturally is also important. Instead of saying, where are you? You can say, hey, I was wondering where you are right now. I am on my way and want to make sure we meet at the right place. Instead of saying, come soon, you can say, could you let me know when you will arrive? I want to plan properly so we can start on time. Full sentences show care and consideration. Even when making requests online, polite sentences make a big difference. Instead of saying, send me the file, you can say, could you please send me the file when you have a moment? I needed to continue working on the project. Instead of saying, answer me, you can say, I would appreciate it if you could reply when you have time. Your feedback will help me make the right decision. This sounds respectful and professional. In group chats or online discussions, it is important to share opinions politely. Instead of saying, you are wrong, you can say, I see your point, but I have a slightly different perspective. Maybe we can look at both ideas and choose the best approach. Instead of saying, no, that is not right, you can say, I understand your idea, but perhaps there is another way to think about it. Let's explore the options together. Polite language keeps conversations healthy and productive. Finally, expressing excitement and interest online feels more natural with full sentences. Instead of saying, wow, you can say, wow, that is amazing. I really admire your effort and creativity. Instead of saying, cool, you can say, that looks really interesting. I would love to learn more about it. Adding context makes your reactions sound genuine. This is your fluent English journey. Speak clearly. Use full sentences. Be polite and expressive. With daily practice, your English will sound confident, natural, and fluent, both online and offline.